Every year I get one time slot in the spring to put something in here. So if you remember last year, kind of the theme was it was marks on paper. The theme was like mark making, what line does, what how you can build things up. But this year we're focusing a little more on it's actually our illustration and sequential art program. So we focus more on storytelling and concept art. So we have work from penciling for sequential arts, inking for sequential arts, coloring for sequential arts, comics creation, comics publishing, and then a few things from TV design and color. And so you'll see that the work has, it's basically telling stories, or learning how to tell stories in sequential panels, like a comic strip, comic books. You can't rely on sound, you can't rely on a bunch of other things, so it's fun very closely that way. And then also you'll see there's a lot of work that, it's sort of like a visual narrative. So this is Valerie Hochberg, or Val Hochberg. Yeah. So she is one of our adjunct professors. She teaches some of the courses. And so I don't know if she wants to talk about some of the assignments and the work, kind of guide us through what she does and what the students do in the courses.
Yeah, I can walk you through at least the ones that are from my classes. So these ones, this is from my coloring comics class, and this is actually some of our final projects here. And their goal is they can draw their own comic pages, and the focus is on the coloring and the coloring process. And I want backgrounds and storytelling, and these are just some favorite examples right here because they're so colorful and great. I'll move along to some of these ones. This one's actually from my comics publishing class. And in that class, they have a lot of freedom to kind of choose what direction they want to go in. And so they create their own portfolios or pitch packets. And these ones here are from computer illustration, where we work on all sorts of things like a typical illustration class, but it's all done digital. In fact, all of my classes I do are all digital art classes. So we're just doing gesture drawings, and this one was to draw an environment, and yeah, lovely work.
What about the coloring for comics? You can talk about what you have when you do in the course. Like some of the exercises, what's the goal, and then how they work up to that.
So coloring for comics is one of my favorite classes. In fact, you don't need to know how to draw, be comfortable drawing to do them. Because I do provide artwork for all the students who might not be as confident or comfortable drawing. But any student who feels comfortable drawing their own, they do that. We use a program called Clip Studio Paint. So we go through the process of, doing pencil sketches, inks, we lay down flats, and then using our flats, we can now add like shading and highlights. And we go over some basics of good word bubble practices and page layouts. So it is a big process. There's a lot that goes into designing a comic page. So there's just like a big build-up. I also love glows. There's some good examples here of adding glows and sound effects as well. So yeah, it's a lot. But everyone does a great job. So I move down to other ones. So these are Professor Jeff's classes. So I can't talk about this. His is the traditional art. Is there more down here?
Yes. We got a lot more. So there's some of the, I think that's for your class too. On that back wall,
Why do you do it?
Okay. Everybody can follow us if they want to.
No. Oh wait, yes, actually they are. Yes, this is from comics creation. So this is where we the whole class is built on making our own comic books. So this is like work in progress. By the end, it'll be inked and have nice text bubbles like the other examples we looked at. So this is kind of an in progress look. So these are the pencils, the pencil layouts for a complete comic ash can book that we would create in class. So this is definitely a work in progress, but it's still beautiful work. And this is also done all in Clip Studio Paint, which is the program we use.
You got Caitlin's book if you wanted to.
Yeah, so
you could talk about like how obviously this is a different artist, but
Yeah, different art style, but same kind of idea. This is actually from the comics publishing class, and this student decided they wanted to do a pitch packet instead of a portfolio for their final project. So these are just kind of comic samples from basically a comic they'd want to pitch to like a company to have them buy their idea and help pay for their comic idea to come to life. So yeah, they did this awesome map. And yeah, these are just kind of comic page samples, not necessarily with words and all of them, but yeah, beautiful work.
Here we go. This is Jeff Pena, and so he's our other adjunct faculty that teaches some of our sequential art courses. So he teaches stenciling for sequential art and inking for sequential art. There's some of his work, his students' work here, and then I know we got stuff on that wall. Is there anything you'd like to kind of, maybe walk us through, like what the assignment is, what they do?
Yeah,
we
we do a whole bunch of different things. For inking, it's actually more of a technical aspect. We're learning the tools, how to maximize your time, your capabilities. It's a little bit more of a hand-eye coordination kind of setup. During the class, we get some professional level work that have already been blue lined to kind of give the students an idea of what professional quality inking would need to be entailing, whether it's with with a brush pen or a micron. We go through a whole bunch of different kind of tools. We also do some ink wash lessons in there as well. And it's really keeping an eye on your time and your production level of what you can actually hit as far as your deadlines go, what kind of projects you can take on. We talk a lot about industry deadlines and the importance of making connections within that industry and also the professionalism that is needed to make all these things happen. For the penciling class, it's a little bit more on, I don't want to say it's more on the creative side, but there's definitely a lot more thought process that goes into this. We start them out by basically taking a look at the comics, analyzing it, teaching them the thumbnail section, which is essentially the foundation of what they're going to be putting on their panels. And when we go through the panel layouts, we talk about the different levels of creativity of use of those panels, how to make the reader's eyes move along, the different camera angles that are used. So we use a lot of animation and film terminology during the class in order to actually give them some sort of allegory to latch onto. And from there, we start talking about themes, characters, character design, and then start moving on to the actual penciling, which we start out with one of the assignments where we take some classic artwork. This is Joe Kubert here doing Sergeant Rock, and I have them duplicate that page exactly so they can get an idea of what another professional would lay them out as, and how during that process they discover how some lines can work, shadows can work, form can work. And then we kind of go from there. I give them some professional scripts that are available online to look at, and then have them start redrawing those pages, reimagining those pages from scratch until ultimately we do a couple more practices. We also cover comic strips, which is a different way of thinking. And then ultimately at the end of the semester, they have the option to have a pre-written script that I'm giving them, or they can do their own creation so that they can actually walk away from class with at least 5 pages that's the top level of it.
Hi, I'm Asia Mitchell, and I am an illustration sequential art student here at CGCC, and I'm currently I'm taking Jeff Pena's penciling for sequential art class, and this is some of the work we've done. This is my piece. We had to take original artist's comic pages and basically scale them up and redraw them. And I think during this assignment, they just taught us a different art style, different ways so that we can actually present our art. And it also shows you in the comic industry, how they actually do their art. I feel like a lot of it was different from my personal artwork, which was cool to me to try and see something different with it, line weight and shading. And it was a lot of work, but you know what? I actually am happy with what I came up with. And then over here, we had another assignment where we had to take the original pages of a comic book and basically reconstruct them with a whole different composition, which was challenging at first, but I think doing it taught me a lot about how to actually set up a dynamic and interesting comic page that people actually want to read. It was challenging and I was a bit worried about it at first, but I actually ended up liking it a lot. And then my last time for this class was some background. These are 2 that I did. The final was more focusing on us just actually trying different perspectives, and, different settings. And we would take some info from real life and stuff that we just made up. But I think it's important, obviously, because when we're actually doing comics and illustration, you want to have these very, different, eye-catching, backgrounds and scenes to keep your readers engaged. And I think I did. I think we learned a lot from it. I learned a lot personally from it. And I'm learning a lot from this program. I'm actually thankful that CGCC actually has this program that focuses on my interest, which is comic book and comic illustration, because that's what I love to do. And I'm enjoying my time so far here. So, yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and I was in the 2D design class with Lewis and Rosa. And this is my art piece right here. It's currently untitled, but the concept was either to do a diptych or a triptych, which is a 2 or 3 panel piece which displayed different portions of the same narrative at the same time. I chose to do 5 pieces all about the theater, which is something I really love. And it was recommended to me to work on black paper with colored pencil. That's my color. So it really makes the colors bold and vibrant. And each piece has a different part of the stage. We have the ticket booth here as a couple is walking in to go see the show. Over here we have the villain pondering his decisions in a knife as he's going through the play. Here we have the play and the theater happening at the same time, and the audience just enjoying it and having that perspective. Here we have an actress in the background getting ready for the show, and over to our right we have the costumes that are used in the play as people are getting ready. Each shape represents something that reminds me of the theater, something elegant and inviting, and just really celebrating what I think the theater means to us with all the play and the imagination that happens in it.